So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk to you
Can you hear that okay?
Yes.
about bad experiences for a moment. And there are three thoughts on bad experiences, since we're having one, a big one. The first thought on bad experiences is this: everyone has them. And everyone is in the middle of this crisis. I mean, no one is excluded. All of us are being touched. But, some days you're a pigeon and some days you're a statue. Some days you get the privilege of dumping on someone. Some days you're the one that gets dumped on. Well, a crisis is where, let me define a crisis. A crisis is where we're all a statue, okay? We're all getting dumped on. I can think back to 2008 when the economic recession really hit us. And as a speaker, I said, wow, I've got to help people. Again, that's what a leader does. The moment there's a problem, first thought of a leader, got to help people. And so I thought, okay, how can I help people? And I remember sitting down in my office at home, and while speaking engagements and everything was canceling and everything was kind of going south, and I developed a teaching, a lecture, and it became a huge popular lecture for the next 3 to 4 years, and that is how to do good things when things are all so bad. How do you do good things? And it got out that I was going to have a teaching that how do you do good things when things are so bad? And for the next 3 years, companies, groups of people that wanted me to come and speak, they'd say, John, do that speech on how to do good things when things turn out bad. And it was just a pure teaching on, okay, it's bad, but while it's bad, we don't have to stay bad. This is the point. While it's bad, we can say, what good thing can I do? What good thing can I learn? Wow. That's perspective. That's the difference. And for 3 years, I literally went around the world, not only around the country, around the world, talking about how to do good things when things are so bad. Why? Because it gave a message of positive application and hope. You see, what we do with bad experiences defines who we become. What we do with bad experiences defines who we become. The second thought that I want to give you about bad experiences, not only everyone has one, okay? So we're all in the same boat, okay? And there's a hole in the boat, and it's going to affect all of us. Number two, no one likes bad experiences. I have never met a person who comes to me and says, you know what, John, I think I'm the most happy and fulfilled during a crisis. I just, you know what, John, I love problems. I love questions I can't answer and issues I can't solve. Nobody likes this. Nobody. I don't, you don't, we don't like it. I think we're kind of like Lucy, who just basically said one time, I don't want ups and downs, I just want ups. Okay, let's take a vote. You may be all by yourself, you may be with family members, or maybe just a couple people since we're social distancing, but every one of you do what I'm going to do. Let's all do a vote. How many of us, we want to join Lucy's club? We just want ups and ups. But in fact, I really want ups and ups, and I know you really want ups and ups. And in a real world, we don't get ups and ups. Now, fortunately, we don't get just downs and downs. But in the real world, we get ups and downs, and we've got to be like my friend in college who told me one time. He said, John, I'm never down. I said, what do you mean you're never down? He said, I'm either up or I'm getting up. Well, in a crisis, what we're doing is getting up because we've been knocked down. You see, the issue is not have we been knocked down. The issue is, do we stay down? Or do we say, I don't like down. I want to get back up. It's those who don't like down, but go from not liking it to do something about it, that action, to get back up. But none of us likes a crisis. We all have it. None of us like it. My friend Chuck Swindoll, several years ago, he sent me this, and I'm going to just read it to you. It's about Chippy, a parakeet, okay? And he starts off by saying, Chippy the parakeet never saw it coming. One second, he was peacefully perched in his cage singing. And the next moment, he was sucked in, washed up, and blown over. His problem began when his owner decided to clean his cage with a vacuum. She stuck the nozzle in to suck up the seeds and feathers in the bottom of the cage. Then the phone rang. Instinctively, she turned to pick it up. She had barely said hello when Chippy got sucked in. She gasped. She let the phone drop. She turned off the vacuum, and with her heart in her mouth, she unzipped the bag, and there was Chippy, alive but stunned, covered with heavy black dust. She grabbed him. She rushed him to the bathtub, turned on the faucet full blast, and held Chippy under the torrent of ice-cold water, power washing him clean. So she did what any compassionate person and owner would do. She snatched up the hairdryer and blasted the wet, shivering little bird with hot air. And this story closes by just this beautiful phrase. Chippy doesn't sing much anymore. Of course, Chippy doesn't sing much anymore. Oh, there's a whole bunch of us right now. We've been blasted, and we're just not doing a lot of singing. You see, in bad experiences, everyone has them and no one likes them. And the last thought I want to give you on bad experiences, and then I'm going to turn to perspectives in a moment, is very few people make bad experiences positive experiences. Very few. But I am talking to the few. Our time together is for me to rally the few. I don't have any illusion that I'm going to rally the masses. But right now, I'm just trying to rally you. Because if I can rally you and get you seen with the right perspective how you can get better through this crisis, guess what you can do? You can then do the same for your family. What a gift for your family if all of a sudden you become the person that shows them the light at the end of the tunnel. Wow. That's why Warren Lester said, success in life comes from not holding a good hand, but in playing a poor hand well. Wow. That's beautiful. You see, everything's changed for me. I shared with you yesterday on leading through a crisis that, I literally had dozens of speaking engagements that have been canceled, and the one that I wanted to help everybody, but one really, really, really hurt. Wow, I'd had the opportunity late April to go to the Vatican, and I had an invitation by Pope Francis to do 3 days of teaching with him on what I called a master class with the Pope on leadership. I look so much forward to time with him and time helping lift that load, and well, of course it's all gone. So again, so when I had somebody call me and say, "What are you doing right now?" What I'm doing is I'm making lemonade, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to make lemonade. We've all been handed a lemon. Now some people are going to mount that lemon. They're going to take pictures of that lemon. They're going to talk about how tough life is with the lemon. And then there are some people that are just going to take that lemon and cut that baby open and make them some lemonade. In fact, say to yourself, again, you may be by yourself. If you're not by yourself, say to someone beside you, say to someone right now, I'm making lemonade. So when people ask you, what are you doing in the crisis? Well, I'm making lemonade. See, Napoleon Hill. All right, I'm about to dig in with you. Hang on. Fasten your seatbelts. Napoleon Hill said, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. That is a powerful statement, but my folks, listen to me carefully. It's only a true statement if your perspective is right. Don't miss this. I'm going to read the statement again, and then you determine if it's true in your life or if it's not true. Every adversity, every failure, every heartache comes with the seed of an equal or greater benefit. I will not get an equal or greater benefit from adversity unless I have a perspective that believes that truth. If I believe nothing good can come out of something that is bad, then I will never, ever take advantage of that asset. Well, I wrote my first book, Think on These Things. I the reason I chose that title is because of a scripture verse. Now, you know I'm a person of faith. If you're not a person of faith, this is just good stuff. Just act like it's not scripture and we'll be okay, all right? Because it applies to your life anyway, whether you're a person of faith or not. But the Apostle Paul said something that really was the catalyst for me giving the title of my first book I ever wrote, Think on These Things. Here's what he said. Summing it all up, friends, I'll say that you'll be best if you fill your minds and meditate on things that are true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious. In other words, he said, you're really going to be at your best if you meditate on good stuff. And then he begins to contrast good stuff with bad stuff. He said, the best, think on those things, not the worst. The beautiful, not the ugly. Things to praise, not things to curse. Now, the Apostle Paul says we have a choice. And in a crisis, I could either think about all the things to curse, and there's a whole bunch of cursing going on and a lot of things to curse, or I can look at that and I can say, no, there's some praise in here. There's something I can be thankful for. Now, Paul, why is he asking us to focus on these things? Why is he doing this? Because he knows that a positive perspective in every situation upgrades that situation. Paul is not saying deny reality. In that verse, what did he say? He said there's some wrong things, bad things, things that you could curse. He's not denying that they're there. They're right in front of you. He's not acting as if they're not possible. They are possible. They're reality. But he's saying what we get to do is what we think on. Wow. I love that. So, I'm going to give you a challenge. In fact, this morning, remember I said I've been thinking quite a bit from yesterday? This morning, I put this in my notes. I'm going to challenge you. This is one of the most important parts of my teaching today. I'm going to challenge you to be one of the few that take a bad experience and turn it into a better experience. Now, how are we going to do that? So write down that challenge. Okay, John challenges me to take a bad experience and turn it into a better experience. Okay, you got that? Now I'm going to get real practical with you here for the next 3 minutes. How do I do that? How do you do that? How do we take something bad and make it better? We have to be intentional. What I'm going to give you can't be accidental. It has to be intentional. I have to be intentional in 6 things right now. I have to be intentional, first of all, in my personal time. I have a more personal time than I've ever had before because I've had a whole bunch of stuff canceled in my life. So what am I going to do in the time that I have? And I hope the answer is not watch TV. I don't mean as unkindly. TV's fine. But I hope we're going to upgrade ourselves just a little bit. For example, for me, on my desk, if you went into my home right now, on my desk on the left side, right here on my desk are 6 books. 6 books that I have purposely, intentionally picked out and said, okay, in this downtime, I'm going to read these books. Now, I haven't been able to get to them until now, but I can, and so I'm going to read those books. I'm also going to make it a time of exercise. I'm going to make it a time of trying to get a little bit better and healthy and eat a little bit better in that whole process. Okay, well, that's personal, but what the question is what are you going to do with your personal time? You've got to be intentional. I challenge you to be intentional in your personal time to do something that'll make you better. Number 2, your family time. What are you going to do in your family time? I mean, you're having more family time than ever before. Margaret and I have kind of developed a list of movies that we kind of want to see at home, perhaps together, and we're going to take more walks than we've taken before. In other words, what are you going to do with your family that's just going to be positive? Maybe with your family you would want to sit down and share what I'm teaching. Wow, wouldn't that be good? Sit and gather them around and say, look, this is how we need to be thinking. Here's how we need to be acting during a crisis time. Okay, how about catch-up time? How about your catch-up time? That's the third area. And I'm not talking about ketchup that you put on with fries. I'm talking about CATH. I can catch up on some things that I would have never gotten to. And things like, mundane things like a commitment I've made is to clean my closet out. That closet's need to be cleaned out for 3 years. Every time I go into it, it just looks at me and says, clean me out, clean me out. And I've ignored it. But I got a little time. I'm going to do that. But I'm I'm going to have some time now to really give to a new book that I'm writing on, that I'm very excited that's going to come out soon. And so now I can really focus on that book. Okay, how about, here's a good one for you. Number 4, be intentional in your adding value time. Okay, in a crisis, people need encouragement and added value more than any other time. So why don't you every day write down one name of a person that you need to encourage? A call that you need to make, just a touch that say, I'm going to add value to these people today. Get intentional. You'll be surprised not only how it'll help the people, but how it'll help you. Number 5, I'm a person of faith. You don't have to listen to this, but I have what I call my faith time. Well, what am I going to do as a person of faith? Well, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to develop my trust muscle. I'm going to really work on that. And a trust muscle basically means I'm going to have to trust God to give me strength and peace when I don't have all the answers. And by the way, if you're not a person of faith, you go ahead and do that. You'll find out how He'll help you too. He's no respecter of persons. He loves you every bit as much as He loves me. But I'm going to work on my trust muscles. I'm going to work on my gratitude now, because gratitude is most hard to express during difficult times. And I'm going to work on my prayer life. In fact, I spent time in prayer for you today, okay? Just asking God to give you strength during this time. And then, okay, the 6th thing I want you to work on is your thinking time. Your thinking time. And I want you to put yourself through a positive grid. This morning, I wrote 3 questions I want you to consider every day as you think. Question number 1, how will this crisis make me better? It's a great question. Give yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day and say, okay, I'm going to write these questions down. I'm going to think upon this. How will this crisis make me better? There are answers. If you think about it, you'll find them. Number 2, how will I use this crisis to help other people? Wow, that's huge. And by the way, you're going to get an abundance of answers in that, because everybody needs help in a crisis. And number 3, what action will I take? Oh my, this is great. What action will I take that will improve my situation? What action am I going to take that'll what can I do that'll just make me better?
Okay. All right, just give me 1 second. Let me get the right thing over here. And so what do y'all think?
Well, I think that we all can relate to that. I was just thinking to myself, when he mentioned about that everybody wants ups, right? Of course, no. But life, I think I always try to relate life with nature, also, right? Nature has its ups and downs. Everything is a cycle. So I firmly believe that everything that happens in life doesn't last forever, right? So good things and bad things. So if you are in a crisis, it will shall pass. It may take some time. Of course, it will depend on how you react to that, right? How you behave in terms of how hard it hits. It's like what he said. You need to try to have courage to stand up and move on, right? So and I think that we all have both personal and professional experiences to relate to that. So it was very very well thought.
Yeah,
I think.
it's a good talk.
Yeah.
Other thoughts? You're muted, Paula.
Thank you. I related this to the last year for me, or maybe the last couple of years. So, yeah, in terms of the 6 things, right? I looked at that and thought, where have I been, during COVID? with these things. I won't bore you with the details, but I really feel good about how I focused my time and energy, family time, how I've created a game in the world. It's a game we play with my family around well-being in the last year. So overall, I feel like I'm in a household and I'm the kind of person who does see life more as an opportunity. My dad was blind and hard of hearing when he was living with us well into his 90s.
Mm.
And that man woke up every day saying, I feel so good I could jump out of my skin.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, after that, what could I possibly complain about?
Yeah, that's a great attitude. It reminds me of my grandfather. He was like that. Just the absolute best attitude ever. He was always laughing, always smiling, always finding the silver lining. And he had a hard life, really hard life. He had 6 daughters and 1 son to raise. And this is India, like, 2 generations ago, right? Where you had big families and had to pay a dowry and all that stuff. Anyway, he was amazing. Glenn?
A couple of thoughts. I'm kind of into this space, so I had heard some of this before. There's a point that he kind of glossed over a little bit, but I think it's worth mentioning. Issues, pain, adversity, whatever you want to call it, increases people's openness to change. If things are comfortable and they're not in pain, they go, yeah, maybe later, someday, whatever. But if they're in pain for some kind of a circumstance, that's actually an opportunity to change. And as coaches, we can go and, we shouldn't run away from people in pain. They tend to be more open to change.
That's a really good insight and a really good point you brought up. When things are going great, yeah, people are definitely more open to trying new things. It's like things are going well. What could happen? And of course, when the screws start to get a little tighter, people tend to go back to what's safe and, maybe not as open to trying things or getting out of their comfort zone.
I'm actually trying to say the opposite. People have a certain capacity for change, but it's more incremental change when things are good. But when they're in great pain, they'll be open to bigger, bolder changes because they're in such pain. Yeah.
I think it depends on the individual.
If a person is truly in deep, nail in their hand pain, anything to get the nail out of their hand, they will be open to. But if you're talking to them about changing their clothes, dude, I got a nail in my freaking hand.
I think you're probably right. I mean, I can think of an example a couple of clients ago where the pandemic had just hit, and this company that 100-year-old company, we'd been coaching there for a couple of years, and it was the pandemic that caused them to really embrace. I don't think they even realized it. They just became a lot more agile because they had to. Right. But I think at the organizational level, certainly they did. But I think maybe individuals all react differently to really hard crises, difficult crises. And it really depends on the individual.
I think Paula's got a point. So I should have used different wording. Great pain. Moderate pain, yeah, you're right. People will kind of retrench and just go back to what they're used to. But I should have said great pain.
Yeah, I think you're right, because great pain was felt by the leaders of this company. And so they embraced more agile ways of thinking and planning and doing. The people that were actually doing the work, they probably didn't really see the pain. They just went along with whatever their leaders were, expecting. We're going to go this direction. Okay, let's go that direction. Fine. If that's what you want me to do, we'll do that. Right. Because they didn't feel the pain yet, but they were just sort of going along with whatever leadership was directing them to. So I think pain is felt differently depending on where in the organization you are.
I've seen it both ways with individuals, really.
Mhm.
I'd love to say that in great pain, everyone can change their point of view, and they do. It's not always true. Some people really do double down.
Yeah.
And some people have such cognitive bias that they turn this great pain into something that proves that they were all right. They were always right all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, we have a great opportunity as coaches, and we have to really understand where people are coming from.
You know,
Yes, sir.
I think you've brought up another point, another good point, Paula. I want to go and give you that one as well. Some people do double down. It doesn't end well, but they do double down. But if
Yeah.
there's any chance of opening, if there was like a seed there, the pain can make the seed sprout,
Yes.
or push the door open or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, look at what's happening in Ukraine, you know, or in China with their COVID policies. You know, they're just doubling down. The perpetrators, right, are doubling down on their initial decision to invade or whatever policies around COVID, doubling down on their decision because not doing so, they'll look bad, right? And it's a crisis for these people.
Kill the
Yeah.
ego.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't, maybe that's not the best example, but that's the first thing that came to my mind, you know, in terms of people doubling down on a decision, because they possess more of a fixed mindset, right? They're not willing to admit mistakes made and maybe a different different possibilities of an outcome.
Yeah, I think that you hit the key word here is mindset. You know, you need to, I think we discussed this before. I think that there's a point where you need to be flexible, right? So you need to get to a point where you see, oh no, this direction that I'm going is not going to give me good results, and it's time to change, right?
Yeah.
But there are people, you know, and again, it depends on the individual, and this sometimes that translates to corporations as well, where they are have this fixed mindset and say, no, I think that the way I'm doing is the right one. I'm not going to change. And then you see, you know, I think that we have examples that, like, you know, BlackBerry, you know, Kodak,
Yeah.
and things like that, you know, in corporate world, and in personal life also, you know, we see that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to tie that back to a point you made earlier, Louis, and that is of nature. Some people like to talk about the fact that nature is an ecosystem. There's distributed intelligence and everything responds dynamically.
Mm-hmm.
The organization and the marketplace are also examples of ecosystems. There are pressures and stressors, and you respond to them in a healthy way, and you do well, or you don't, and you don't do so well. But there's constant change and constant pressure. We get to choose our responses to these circumstances, but we would do well to think in a broader context, and think of life and the market and the organization as an ecosystem, and that, I think, is where the power is.
That's a great point.
That's great.
Good point. If you guys would all go to menti.com on your browsers or phone and put in that code, there's a few questions in here that we'll go through. Probably won't go through all of them, but some of them, it might stimulate some more insights and dialogue. This is really the premise of this lesson, right? Everyone has bad experiences, but it's what we do with them that defines who we are, who we become. No one likes them, but they're part of everyone's journey. I like the second point there. You're either up or you're getting up. Hopefully people have that kind of a mindset. Few people make bad experiences positive, but those who understand that there are options, it means that there is hope. So that's kind of the gist of his messaging. I got a chat here.
That's just me putting in the code.
Oh, okay. I see one of you is in. I got love. Can I get some more love? Oh, yay. Thank you. Lots of love. Whew, I'm being watched over by it all. Okay. Is everyone in here?
Yep.
Yep.
Everyone, all three of you? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, I think it's still coming in for me.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for you to get in there. And once you're in,
Okay, I'm in. I'm in now. I've got, why do you think people so easy to succumb? Is that the first thing?
Yeah, that's the first question. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. These are all really good. I kind of almost know whose comments are whose.
Want to put my initials there?
You don't have to. I mean, there's only 3 people here. Plus, I'm also responding, by the way. Paula, tell me about this. People do not know how much past experiences still impact them. I know that's you.
Yes. So I've been coaching, hundreds of people on many weekends with transformational coaches that this is their whole life. They do transformational coaching. And you see people come in and you see the people that have gotten to the point, like Glenn says, where the pain is there, but also there's some seed. There's something that allows them to look at something differently, to accept something they hadn't before, and then move on. But then you also see people hold on to a point of view or perspective because something happened to them way back in their childhood, and their life has almost been a series of proof that that is the world, that is the way it is. I said it was when I was 5 years old. So I really think it has a lot to do with if people are willing to move past fear and survival and look at their point of view and where it came from in their life.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. These are mine. Past can haunt people. They're like, the thing is that you may not even realize it, that the past holds you back, right? They're like saboteurs, these invisible, sort of, you got the angel on one side and the devil on the other, and the devil's whispering in your ear and the angel's whispering in your ear, and the devil's voices sometimes will hold people back, and they don't really realize that they're holding back because of something that happened to them, right? Yeah. So to me, the first step is just awareness that you have these tendencies to be more risk averse, or, you know, have more of a fixed mindset, or whatever it might be, before you can start to overcome that. You know, it is possible, Glenn. I think this is yours, right? Is this one yours? Hardwired to be risk averse by default?
You got me.
Yeah, and so I think it is possible, and I'll just use myself as an example. I had a difficult childhood. I had a greatest mom. My dad was very demanding, and, you know, in my younger decades, I wasn't like I am now. It took decades to be who I am now, right? More outgoing, more confident, more whatever, risk tolerant, and things like that. I wasn't that way when I was in my 20s, even 30s. It is possible. It starts with self-awareness.
Yes.
Here's the thing I got to ask you though, Kumar. Was that a feature or a bug? Maybe your father being very strong, but your mother being compassionate. Maybe that was the yin and the yang that created the wonderful person that you are today. Maybe you couldn't have done it without the harshness. No,
Yeah.
harshness is too strong. The strength.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about that. You know, I in a way, you know, intentionally or maybe inadvertently modeled myself on you know, behaviors that I either wanted to emulate or didn't want to emulate, right? Because I got to see both sides of things, right? And so I feel like I raised my kids completely differently than I was raised, right? And I have two great kids, you know. I mean, I think my mom is, and my dad too, if he was alive, would be very proud of who I've become. But you know, I credit them to a large extent for who I am, right? Both bad and good, to your point.
You know, when my son was in 6th grade, I think it was then, that I said to him, look, you've got 3 parents, and all of us have strengths and weaknesses. So cherry pick. Look around and think to yourself, what do I like about that person's characteristics and behaviors? Pick those things. And your dad, pick those things. And Rich, pick those things. And I think he actually did that.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, PTSD, fixed mindset. This sounds like you, Luis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right to the point. Yeah, I'm not, don't like to write too much, good right to the point, because I think that in summary, it's basically I think that the past experiences, sometimes they leave scars, like they leave traumas, and sometimes that people don't realize that, but they don't want to go through that same kind of pain, right? That's sometimes it's kind of on a survival mode that you enter in, and sometimes you don't realize that. So you try to, you get overcome sometimes by fear, and I think that's what blocks a lot of actions in people. So people are just afraid to try new things. It's not that they sometimes they say, oh, the person is stubborn, they don't want to change, but the reason for them not want to change is that there's this kind of a ghost in the corner that scares them and say, no, I don't want to go there, right?
Yeah.
So you need to try to bring light, to that, to those people, and say, look, it's not what you're thinking, right? So you should not be afraid of trying this or trying that, right? So I think that's key for especially like in a crisis. You need to find for as it was said, the light at the end of the tunnel. You need at least a guiding light, saying, okay, go into that direction, that you'll be okay. Right. That's what I think.
I like that. a lack of good role models for responding to adversity. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. Whoever wrote that, I can't identify the author. I think
Gotcha
it's
this time.
Glenn.
Gotcha this time, Kumar. Yeah, that one's me. I think there's a lot of negativity and reactivity among people in general. I think it's a lack of emotional maturity. And this stuff is hard. I'm still not that proficient at it, even though I've been working on it for a long time. And through repetition and unhelpful role models, sort of, particularly today, I think it's getting worse, yelling and negativity and harshness. It's always been there. And that tends to be loud and tends to drown out the more thoughtful, soulful responses. And unless you really probe, you'll think that's the way to go.
Yeah, good point.
Mhm.
Let's go on to the next question.
Hey, that's a tough one.
I love that. Ask others for help. You have to do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know which one to go for first. They're all so good. Paula, tell me about ontological methods.
So basically, the idea is that everything evolves through our words. Our words are much more powerful than we think. And what that means is that sometimes by people communicating about a past experience in a different way, using different words, it can actually shift their perspective. So, for example, an exercise that we do is separating out what happened like the what's so about it, the facts, from the story we created. And if you guys know Eckhart Tolle, he writes about this in one of his books. But by doing that, by separating out the drama, what we said about it, what we added to it from here's what actually happened, that can open up a lot of space for people just in doing that exercise.
That's a good, interesting approach. But for people who, I mean, that would require people to be aware enough to go and seek help from a coach, right? A transformation coach like this. So there's
or a coach, or an agile coach who happens to be aware of this method.
Yeah, right. But I think that's a great approach. And you mentioned language. I think of language being so important and powerful in setting a frame anyway for changes in times of adversity and crisis. The right language, the kind of words that produce more calm and reduce anxiety and things like that. That's what comes to my mind.
Right.
Has anybody, it's on my list of things to do, I haven't got to it yet. Has anybody looked at the clean language work?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when you talked about language, Paula, is clean language. I have the book here somewhere. It's right there, Nonviolent Communication, on my shelf. And I've started to work through that. I just haven't had time to really put it to practice. Everything there makes a lot of sense, but it feels like it's a habit you need to form to really utilize it well. You can't just read a book and just be like, okay, I'm going to be more clean in my language. No.
Yeah, that's why I signed up to coach hundreds of people. On those weekends, it was like
practice, right?
Practice over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I was just going to say that there's one step before actually get to that point. I always think that somehow you need to earn the trust of your subject. So either if it's the people of a team. So I think Dale Carnegie, had good examples of that in terms of first, to be a good leader, you need to be a friend of your person or team, and by that you earn their trust. Once you get to that point, they naturally open up to you.
Yeah.
So if you start not seeing a situation like that of a crisis or something of that sort, and you start pulling them and say, look, what's going on? Tell me, right? So you start trying to bring this or shine this light, of a friendship, of hope, of compassion, of kindness, whatever that you think that's appropriate. That person is going to open up and start to bring up this whole conversation about what happened, right? So then you can get to that point where you can measure what the person thinks that happened and what are the facts, right? And you start balance that.
Yeah.
So it's a process, right? So
I totally agree. I mean, when you were talking about as a leader being there for your team, John Maxwell has a model that he talks about a lot. It's the 5 levels of leadership. And level 1 is where you're a leader by title, right? Okay, Louis, you're now the team lead. You're a leader. It doesn't mean anything. You just have a title, right? And people follow you because you have the title, because they have to. That's a level 1 leader. Level 2 is people follow you because they want to, because they trust you. You've built enough trust with them, so they want to be there. They want to be able to They want to follow you. And then level 3 is, and it kind of builds upon itself. Level 3 is people want to follow you and they produce results, right? So it's you inspire your team. The team is cohesive. They trust each other and they are productive. And level 4 is, as a leader, you spawn other leaders. So you're developing people to lead themselves and lead others. And level 5 is like, they're just like Gandhi and Musk and
Yeah,
Trump and, people like that.
exactly.
I'm sorry, did you say Trump and leader and leader in the same sentence?
Well, you can't deny that Trump has a lot of followers.
And so did Adolf Hitler.
Right. And so did Adolf Hitler. I mean, it's not always good. I mean, it's just, these are leaders or people that have somehow managed to amass millions, tens of millions of followers.
There's a name for that, Kumar. That's charisma.
Yes.
Hang on. We need to distinguish between charisma and demagoguery.
Yeah, demagogues.
But Glenn, I think that again, who is your target audience? So for them, he's being charismatic, right? They don't see as demagogue. We outside, we see like that. But for the target audience that recognize that person as a leader, he's being charismatic. So it depends on the point of view.
I think there's probably the ladder of the levels of leadership.
Yes.
Some people that are a level 5 leader have not progressed through that ladder. They may not have gone through where people follow them because maybe they have, because they like them, because they want to follow them. I can't think of Trump having produced a lot of other leaders, for instance, right? He's not a reproducer of leadership.
He also doesn't get things done.
Yeah.
Right. However, he still is there. He still sort of, is able to influence so many millions of people through his words and actions.
But I have to push. I'll try not to totally derail things, but I have to push back a little bit here. There has to be a respect for facts, logic, and truth, which is profoundly lacking with Trump. And in fact, I would submit that Trump has shown an error in our legal system through lack of consequence for fraud.
Yeah, I agree.
Lying. In terms of a strict, number of people saying yes, he's the man. Yes, in a narrow, shallow sense, he is a leader, but he is pathologically, profoundly destructive to his followers, and I think to the United States at large.
I would say that he's an example, great example of not how to be, how not to follow.
Yeah.
So he certainly has got followers. There's no question there. But a leader needs to be more than just getting followers and having them follow you off a cliff, which I submit is what Trump is doing. You need to have a vision. You need to have a destination. It needs to be a good place. Taking people to hell does not count as leadership in my books.
No, I'm with you. I threw Trump in there just to get some reaction.
I fell for it. I admit
it. All right, next question. How can you help the people in your life develop a more positive perspective?
I'm getting, please wait for the next slide.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure what that means.
Is there a thing on your phone or browser that allows you to advance to the next slide?
Now I just messed it up and oh, never mind.
Yeah, and getting the same thing. Please wait the presenter to show the next slide. I don't know.
I typed in an answer and I hit submit, and then I got that. I'm going to type it in again.
Oh yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I got the same thing. That's weird.
But I see that you got the responses there.
At least you got yours in. Well, I mean, are there other things? I like what's in by example, role model. Dialogue is key. Open talks, also being an example to others. We all said pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's natural. Like, if you are in a position to be the shining light to someone, so you're naturally being an example, right? So you're trying to show a person or show the team and say, look, this is direction that, or let's put it that way. I have been there, right? So I know what you're feeling, and this is the direction that you should go, like in other words. But if you're there, doing that role, so you're being a beacon, for that people, for the team that you lead, or a person that you are trying to help.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, but it's exactly the posture of that we saw in the video when he said that, okay, we are in a bad situation, we are in a crisis. What's the good that I can do to others, in this time? So it's I think that's natural. Not that if you're fortunate if you're in that position, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. And as far as the slide, I think I must have inadvertently toggled only one response. That's why you're only getting to put one response in. I mean, I think that's correct. Being a role model and all that, there's still going to be people that are just negative and just are sort of, not easily swayed by your positive outlook. How do you help those people?
Very, very carefully. One, emotions are contagious, and if you have a lot of emotional negativity from a person, number one, it's hard to get past that, and number two, it can infect other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that there's people that they have, again, going back to this fixed mindset, right? So they tend to be negative. So and I think that a good example for that is that person that always complains about everything. So I'm not happy with this job. No, this thing is not going well. No, I don't like where I am. And okay, then so then do something. But then I don't like that person. I don't like this and that. So that the person gets into this cycle of negative reinforcement.
Right.
And for you to break that cycle, it's difficult, right? So it's like it really depends on how you reach to that person and say, look, try to look from a different perspective, right? Don't keep just complaining about everything. Instead of complaining, you need to actually take some action then. So change that. So it can be tricky depending on the person.
I think in a case like this, a coaching approach may be a good one to try. So rather than providing people with what they should do, ask a lot of questions about why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and be very open and curious about where they are, and without any judgment. Again, withholding your own judgment about their fears or their situation just being open and curious and allowing them to speak through whatever their fears are. Because a lot of times if you give a person a chance to sort of voice their fears, they're going to maybe themselves realize that their fears are a little unfounded, maybe a little ridiculous, and they may find their own way out of their negativity.
Usually there's stuff underneath stuff. So, the idea is to unpack things. But a critical technique when you start to get once you get down to the root cause is not for you to give them the solution, but
Right.
you to facilitate them coming up with a solution, which establishes psychological ownership. If
Right.
you came up with it, then it's okay. All right, Louis, yeah, you want me to do that? Okay, fine. But if they came up with it as a result of a series of open-ended questions, then it's their solution. And then you go, well, do you want to do something about that? What do you think about that idea that you just came up with? But it came from them.
Yeah. So they
It
take
takes a bit
own,
longer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They
It'll take longer.
Own ownership. Yeah.
Exactly. It'll take a bit longer at times, but it's much more. In my experience, it's much more effective.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a good point.
All right, next question. What can you do right now to share your positivity with others?
Has to have a beer together.
Yep, I love it. All the stuff that we talked about.
I find this to be an odd question.
Tell me why. Tell me more.
Sharing your positivity seems a bit presumptuous and a bit presumptuous. This assumes that people want you to share, and they may not. Well, typically people want to talk. They want you to listen, not to share.
I took it as more, if you're positive, then if I'm a positive person, which I think I am, then I'm more apt to reach out and listen to others, because that's the way I took it. Not that I'm going to go and toot on the horn something positive necessarily, but that I'm there for people to reach out to, and right.
But you just said it. You're going to be there for them. You're not going to share your positivity. You're there to listen, not to talk.
Right, but I think it takes a mindset, doesn't it? Positive mindset to reach out in the first place.
Perhaps, but it never said how do you reach. right now to reach out to others. It said share your positivity with others.
Yeah,
I just thought the wording was curious.
Yeah, I kind of know got the point, Glenn. I don't think the word there is correct. You're not sharing your positivity, but I think your openness, to help, like, to be like, to offer support. That doesn't mean that you're. I don't know if it's the right way to say that you're being positive. Sometimes you're being supportive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a distinction between that. I don't know. I kind of forgot your point, but I don't know how to phrase that.
I think if the way I see this is, if I'm anxious or in fear or am being consumed by whatever crisis is around me, I'm probably much less likely to reach out to people and see how they're doing.
Of course.
Right? Or less likely to, I put the pro bono coaching to offer that as a way to help others. And so I'm equating positivity with being open, being curious, being supportive. That's how I'm seeing it. But I see what you're saying, both of you, with the word, right?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, it depends how you perceive that. But I know the point. I just don't know how to phrase it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pinpoint it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were just to sort of get on social media and just be, things are great, that might be
to curse at you.
They're like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah, so
all right. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Glenn.
Yeah, I don't have a point.
Okay, so the next, what session are we now? 3. The next 5 sessions are going to be on these 11 principles, right? So the next session is going to be on the next 3 principles. Everything worthwhile is uphill. There's always an answer. Allow adversity to help you discover who you really are. And so there's going to be sort of the video lesson on those things, and then we're going to discuss them. Mm-hmm. The next session after that, I don't know how many he's grouping together, but this is what's coming, right? So over the next 5 sessions or so. And go ahead. Do you have a question?
I was going to ask. Unfortunately, I missed the second session. Am I able to see that?
Yeah, it's on the community platform. So you just have to join the community platform. You have access to the leadership section, and you can go into the I'll show you in a minute where all that stuff is, and you'll be able to view the video from the second session and the discussion that follows, along with the recap, the deck that we went over.
Just a couple of quick points about John's delivery. If you're repackaging this, Kumar, there's a thing that people have figured out about humans. We're really good with 3-item lists. Anything longer than 3, we don't remember. John apparently is unaware of that. 11 and 19. He's just making it hard for his audience to remember. I think his content is good. I'm not trying to be curlish here, but 11 and 19 item lists don't work for people. People simply don't remember them. But if you can somehow break it into 3 threes, humans are great at remembering 3s for some odd reason.
Yeah, that's why these 11 perspectives are not all done at one time. It's being divided into 5 sessions. So 2 or 3 of them every session.
11, 5. And another point around delivery. If you're ever doing what he's doing, whatever you do, use a freaking teleprompter. Don't read off your iPad.
Yeah. Well, hey, this has worked for him for 25 years. He's got,
continuous improvement, baby.
I know.
Yeah,
I get your point. And honestly, I've been to a couple of the John Maxwell sessions, so he holds, what does he call it? A retreat, I guess, twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to 2 of them over the past 5 years or 4 years, something like that. And it's just amazing how many people go. I mean, obviously with the pandemic, that had to stop. It was all virtual. But there were, in the last one I went to, which was about 2.5 years ago, there were probably 5,000 people at his retreat, right? And he fills like an auditorium with probably 1,000 people for these types of sessions where he's giving a lecture and he's reading off his iPad. I mean, of course, he tells stories along the way. I imagine his iPad is probably points that remind him of what is coming, right? And
I know all of that, and I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying use a teleprompter. Don't look. It's about eye contact. If you have a teleprompter, your eyes are not looking down in an obvious way. You have the same content. You just put it on a screen 20 feet away. So you're not seeing people go.
I'll tell you something. I tried a teleprompter. I had one for my camera, and I used it for the first few videos I recorded, and I hated it. I hated how I presented. I thought I looked wooden, artificial.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like it. And so it depends on the person. Some people do it and do a very good job with it. Very natural.
Obama uses it all the time. You're talking about something different though, Kumar. You're talking about the content. I'm saying he clearly has got it about the right way to use a teleprompter, which is just to have high level summary points in case you forget, and then you tell a story around it. Definitely, that's the way to do it. I'm just saying, don't have it on an iPad so you see the guy going like this.
Yeah, that's right.
And you have a remote control, so you can see it, and you look around the room. You do all the good speaker stuff, but your key point is on the teleprompter, and then you just click the button and you go to the next one.
Right.
Or you can hold your iPad like this, right? So
I mean, I have it so it fits on my camera, and I can.
You just cannot do this, right? So,
right.
where
exactly. But I mean, my teleprompter fits on the lens, and it's like the reflective thing, so I can see the words, and I can toggle the speed of the words. I even tried where I had just the bullet points, so I could just toggle it and then speak to those bullet points. And I still now I just never use it anymore. I just look over and I personally like it. I don't know. It'd be great if you guys would give me some feedback on some of the videos that I've recorded, and tell me what you think.
Sure. Send me the link to one, and I'll take a look at it.
Just it's on YouTube. Just search Agile Meridian. We have like 50 videos on there. It'd be great to get more subscribers too. It'd be awesome if you guys would subscribe to my channel.
Is that the one that the same channel that you have some live videos sometimes?
Yeah.
So I have seen that.
Yeah.
You do great. Any
particular one you want to look at?
Say again?
Any particular one you want feedback on?
I'll send you a link where it's just me. I mean, I usually have other people on there, but there's some that it's just me speaking.
Now that you mention it, I think I did notice on one of your videos. I know if you're looking down. This is a trick from Toastmasters. If you have to look down, don't tilt your head, tilt your eyes. And try and have it as close to eye contact as you can.
Yeah, usually I just have it on a screen, so I'm doing this, and I might just do this and then look over the screen again, so it doesn't look like I'm looking for direction. It's just, it's just more natural.
Or glue it on the side of the screen, big words on the side of the screen or something.
Yeah, that's good. So I just wanted to ask, so these are questions to think about between now and our next session, which is again a month from now. there's two ways we can do this, right? I can put these questions in the community, and you can just respond to them in a chat thread. That way everyone can see everyone's answers. Or I could just send you a link to a little survey, and you could just answer the survey questions. One is more private, one is more public.
What are the choices again?
Hmm?
Sorry, could you repeat the choices?
Yeah, one in the community, one in a survey form.
It'll probably increase the chances of me filling it out if you have a survey and it tickles. I don't mind sharing the survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 2 of you out of the 8 or 9 that are in the program, so I'll just send the survey out because they haven't had a chance to sort of weigh in. So.
And if you have some kind of an automatic tickler thing in a gentle way, that's probably helpful too, because I got a bazillion things on the go.
Yep, that sounds good. All right, so one last thing. So if this is just sort of I'm always uncomfortable reminding people of these things, but if you can sign up today for your free 30 days.
Already did.
You did. Thank you.
Kumar, make it easy for me, man. Give me the link. I'll do it right now.
All right, let me find it.
Yep.
Let me find it. Hold on one second. Let me stop sharing for a second. Stop share. And let me do this. Community invitation to leadership community. Okay. So copy the link address, and I'm going to put it in the chat here.
And I guess this is free, 30 days free, but after that it's charged. So I guess you need a payment method.
Yep. Yep. So it'll take your payment method. It won't charge you right away until 30 days from now, which will be right around our next session. So the first 3 sessions of this thing were basically free.
Okay. and it's 49 bucks, right? 49 bucks a month.
So I think it's 99 for the full price. It's like whatever half of that is.
49.50.
Yeah.
Per month, right?
Per month. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking of going to 2 sessions a month, and of course they'll be recorded.
Be careful, Kumar. I get it. You're keen. You got a lot of content. You want to get it out there. I think that'll be too much. I can do a month, once a month, but twice a month. This is not a reflection on you or your content. I love your content. That's why I keep showing up. But be careful about people's capacity. I'm not. I would vote no. And I get it. We've been down this path before. And I get it that you want it, but everybody, I didn't hear anybody saying, "Oh yeah, Kumar, every 2 weeks I want it."
I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait until we get more people in the community,
Okay.
and then,
but
and
here's
then maybe. Mm-hmm.
But here's my observation: everybody said no. Who other than you said yes?
I think Kevin was open to it, depending on the content. I think what he suggested was 2 different times: one during the work day, like a lunchtime session, because sometimes he can't make the evening sessions. He's not here, for instance. I mean, we have a small group, so it's kind of a small, it's a small sample size. But I think as we get more people in, I'm going to start marketing this more and getting more people in here. It may end up that people want. Again, I don't know if I'm going to put more content out or just have 2 sessions with the same content so that people can come, can attend one or the other that they can make, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to go and have.
Eventually, yes. Eventually, yes. Yeah.
I'm nervous about that. I would like to stick with it, but I'm nervous about the commitment. On the other hand, I get it from your perspective. You got a lot of stuff you want to get it done. You don't want to take 15 years to go through this stuff. I hear you.
Yeah.
One other thing, just to give you a quick, for those of you who haven't signed into the community yet, just to give you a preview.
Is that this link, Kumar, or is that another link?
Are you in the community? I think you are in the community. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you actually, maybe you didn't sign up yet. Let me just log in as my other self. Give me a second.
When you said community, is the same like the same site that we had our training before, like last year? Is it the same location or something?
Unfortunately not. It's a separate site.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if you're in here.
Yeah,
you are, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're in there, Glenn. You did sign up to the community.
Okay, it's everybody has their own community, and
Yeah.
I got so many of them that it's a blur.
Yeah, so in the community, there's this leadership. You will all have access to the Leadership Accelerator. This is the paid portion of the community down here where it says Leadership Accelerator, and this is the free portion. So in the free portion, we put some articles and things out there. There are some events that we run. We have a week. We're trying a weekly coaches corner. So if you want to come and ask questions about whatever, you're welcome to do that.
So this is the same thing. They both point to
this is the free stuff. The paid stuff is what you're in. What we're in right now is down here, this Leadership Accelerator. So the Leadership Forum, this is a bunch of posts from both the course that you all took, but also the mastermind, right? This session, the videos. If you want to go see a video from the past, just come over here. This is the video from our last session, March 30th.
What I was trying to say was, when I sign up for this thing, it's going to take me to the same place.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Oh, yeah. It will. It'll just give you access to what you already have. So it won't be anything different.
Okay.
And so for you, Glenn, to watch the past sessions, just go to the videos and lessons, and you'll be able to watch the other two if you missed both of them or just one of them.
I think I got it.
And then the resources and templates. That's just deck from the last session. And then there's some other things. We posted some ebooks in here too. Dynamic leader, leadership style. So you can just go in and you can either download the full book or the summary, the executive summary. And you're welcome to share that with your peeps if you want. So we'll be posting that. This is like content that's exclusive to this group. Now, I want to warn you, we're trialing another community product, so we may move to that because it's just a little better user experience than this community product.
Kumar, the one thing, and we've talked about this some time ago. I think the one challenge that I see, or the opportunity, let me reword that, is like, you've done your homework, you've got the stuff. I think the challenge is to slice it down and make it in smaller, more bite-sized chunks. You've just got so much, and this thread keeps circling through. Your thought there was, I'll just have more sessions. Well, no, have less sessions, but more summarized, more condensed. Less is more.
Yeah, I'm with you. Do you think that the John Maxwell series is still too much?
I think that's a good question. I don't find. I think the pace could be picked up a bit. I don't know. What do you think, Louis?
Yeah, I was. Sorry, I was multitasking here. What was the question there?
Do you think? What do you think about the pace? Do you think we could pick it up a bit? Is it too much, about right, too slow?
Well, right now for me, I feel that it's right.
Okay.
I think that, as you said, I'm a little bit afraid of not taking a commitment because you see, even like in last month, wasn't able to attend, because we all have a lot of more plates here. So it may be hard, to go beyond that. I think that we had this discussion last time where we were discussing about having one session, like an hour and a half, or 2 separate sessions